So recently, a lot of people have been asking me questions about cutting with swords. In particular, what should be my first sword? Should I spend a lot of money and get something super awesome, or can I get away with buying something perhaps a little bit more in the budget range, and would that be a worthy tool of some use? So the four swords that we're going to look at today are, in this order, the Cold Steel Hand-and-a-Half Sword. We have the Valiant Armory Austrian War Sword, the Alby Incresing, and also we have a custom piece by Arms and Armor. These swords represent a wide price point spectrum, as well as a quality spectrum. My main concern with all these swords is less about their physical characteristics or aesthetic characteristics, but mostly about their value as teaching tools. One thing I'd like to say is these are not the only swords out there that I would consider as beginner swords. These are just the ones that I have personal experience with thus far. The first sword I'd like to talk about is the Cold Steel Hand-and-a-Half Sword. This is at the very low end of our price range at about $470, but for that it is not a terrible first sword. My favorite characteristic of this sword, besides of course the price point, is that it's very loud. I'm referring to the sword wind, or tachikaze in Japanese, but this is a very valuable and perhaps often neglected aspect of swords as training tools. Having a loud sword offers various types of feedback as to your cutting efficacy, even without using tatami. Things to keep in mind, of course, as a entry-level sword. The steel itself I find a little bit softer than other swords. This is not bad in and of itself, it just means that you're going to have to sharpen or hone it more often. It will maintain a relatively decent edge, and once there, it will cut very well. Next up, we have the Valiant Armory Austrian War Sword. This is part of their signature collection. This is also quite affordable at about $544. I happen to love this, especially given the price range. It's not the loudest sword in the world, but it's got a very nice blade profile. By this I mean that it's both thin and wide, so cuts are going to be a little bit easier given the edge geometry of the sword itself. Also, I think it's quite a beautiful sword. To be honest, I don't really have any negative feedback on this. I think that this is a very well put together sword, and I highly recommend this for beginning students. Next, we have the Alby Incresing. This is, of course, part of their next generation line, and it is about $880. I have a special place in my heart for this model in particular. It is the first longsword that I ever bought for myself as a training tool. This one in particular I actually won as part of a competition prize. As a sword in general, and also as a cutting tool, I can't say enough good about it. The blade geometry is well suited for cutting. The type of steel that Albion uses is excellent for holding an edge. The one complaint that people generally have, and I do also sometimes complain about this as well, which has to do with the shortness of the grip. It's not a massive hindrance. It is just something that sometimes, and for some of the specialty cuts, for example, in the Germanic system, sometimes it can get in your way a little bit, but I don't think that's enough of a reason to not consider this. Lastly, I'd like to talk about Arms and Armor, more so as a manufacturer rather than this sword in particular, mostly because this is a custom piece. Having said that, it is representative of their quality. In terms of price range, you can expect anywhere around $950 to about $1,200. I've used several arms and armor swords over the years. I think they are very high quality. The fit and finish is always very well done. The quality of the steel, of course, is quite nice. There will, of course, be variances in terms of the blade typologies and the overall types of swords, but all of the swords that I've ever seen of theirs and used of theirs has been very, very good. So, you've seen me cut with all these swords, and beyond that, I can safely say that I think they're all appropriately priced for the quality. And again, I'm not referring to quality just in terms of aesthetics or the physical characteristics of these swords, but their quality as implements for learning swordsmanship. I think it's important that you, the student, make the decision in terms of how much you'd like to invest in any of these particular tools, but I think these four are a good place to begin. That's it for now, but we have another review video coming up shortly, so stay tuned, and as always, thanks for watching.